How's it going, everybody? We're doing another mock draft here, and I enjoyed the first one, and I also did a Raiders one if you haven't seen that, so go to the recent videos before this. But again, we're going to do the first round of course, the NFL draft. Yeah, I do enjoy these draft videos type things because I like to change my mind up. I don't know if you can do trades yet in this for first round because I feel like there's going to be some trades that's actually going to happen. So I'm going to hit 1, hit manual. It's normal draft speed, it's not going to matter. So I'm going to start this draft. But I wish you could, I don't know if you can do trades. Yeah, you can trade. You can trade out of the first round, but I am not going to pay for a premium for that. So, of course, the Bengals making all those types of moves. I'm doing this at a perspective as if a trade has happened. And what I was listening to earlier, maybe this could be a possibility. Maybe Cam Newton is the Bengals' next quarterback. And, of course, you wouldn't need, you would not need Joe Burrow if you have Cam Newton as your quarterback. And the thing that the Bengals can also do is draft Chase Young. They could sign Antonio Brown if they want to do so and have Antonio Brown and AJ Green on opposite sides of each other. That could be an interesting thing that I never thought of. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to draft Chase Young first overall for the Bengals. And it's a generational talent. It's a one in a lifetime, I guess. One in every draft. There's always one excellent defensive player, and an edge like Chase Young is a generational talent. And boom, there you go. The Bengals are going to have one of the best defensive players, I guess, for some time in the NFL if everything goes accordingly. So that's going to throw a monkey wrench into some things because the Redskins were going to get maybe Chase Young, have him up alongside Montez Sweat on that defensive line. That would have been amazing. But they also have the option of getting Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, or even maybe a defensive guy. It's kind of odd to see that the Draft Network's draft board, I guess they're 1, 2, 3, and 4 now. 1, 3, 4 are quarterbacks. But you need to go for a defensive side, and an edge would have been a need for the Redskins. And I honestly think offensive line is the biggest thing right here. They do not need a quarterback due to the fact, well, they have Dwayne Haskins. They also have Alex Smith that they could use. Or they even just got Allen from being and trading for Carolina. So you do not need a quarterback in the situation if you're the Redskins. So I would try to shore up the offensive tackle spot and get Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. Now, a corner is needed for the Lions, and I still think Jeffrey Okudah is the guy for the Lions. But you can honestly think maybe it's Matt Ryan why am I saying Matt Ryan? No, it's Matthew Stafford for the Lions. Maybe it's his time to go, or maybe it's a time to groom a quarterback, and you have Joe Burrow who fell into your lap, so the Lions are taking Joe Burrow. Now, there's a lot of offensive side and a defensive side for the Jets. They do not need a quarterback because they have their very own Daniel Jones. Maybe a backup quarterback might be in order, but I do like Isaiah Simmons in this situation because they do need a linebacker, and I don't see Isaiah Simmons dropping out of the top 5 in this draft, so you're welcome, the Giants. You get Isaiah Simmons. Now, moving on to the one and only, the team that's holding, I think, 12 draft picks in this draft, the Miami Dolphins, who need a quarterback, who needs an offensive tackle, more offensive line, a safety. They need edge. They need almost a little bit of everything. And Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert, depends on who you want Ryan Fitzpatrick to groom. I know Dolphins have reported that they want to trade up for Joe Burrow, but they do need a quarterback, and Tua is the guy. Tua has been amazing. He's throwing out videos right there, left and right, he's working with Trenton Dilfer, which that's for another story to talk about Trenton Dilfer. But Tua Tagovailoa, you are a Dolphin. Now it just makes sense. Justin Herbert is going to be a Charger. There's no reason for him not to be a Charger. They need a quarterback. Philip Rivers is gone. Tyrod Taylor may not be the answer, but Tyrod Taylor did help groom a little bit of Baker Mayfield. Maybe he can do the same thing with Herbert, and maybe after the week 4 or week 5 after an injury for Tyrod Taylor, you bring in that backup quarterback, kind of like exactly what happened with him in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. Now, this is the perfect situation for Carolina. They need, of course, that linebacker spot is going to be a little bit shaky now since Kuechly is retired, but they also need a corner. They also need some defensive line, and I think Derrick Brown is the perfect spot for them to help shore up that defense. Has a run stopper. Of course, he's not going to be able to do what Kuechly can do, but he has raw strength and talent that can help the defensive side for Carolina. Now the Arizona Cardinals, you have to protect your future quarterback, your quarterback that's of the future that's right now. And I'm not a big fan on Mekhi Becton right now. I do enjoy Andrew Thomas, but why don't you give Kyler Murray a big guy like Jedrick Willis? I like Jedrick Willis a lot in this upcoming draft. He's going to be a person that might be the first offensive tackle to be taken off the board, but Tristan Wirfs, it's going to be a battle from Jedrick and also Tristan. So now going on to Jacksonville, they need a little bit of everything. Defense is most important for them. They have a quarterback right now with Minshew. The next quarterback they could possibly take in is not for a long time. I'm going to say it's probably, I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts going to be the fourth quarterback taking in this draft. They need to shore up this defense, and now with Jeffrey Okudah sitting at 9, perfect spot for him. They had to trade away Jalen Ramsey last year, and so why don't you get Jeff Okudah right here to replace a corner as in Jalen Ramsey? Now we're going to the Browns. You have to. If you're the Browns, you get a offensive tackle. You have to protect. Have to protect Baker Mayfield, and I think Andrew Thomas out of Georgia is better than Mekhi Becton. Becton's a good offensive tackle, but he's not in a top 10 caliber type thing. That's why at 11 the Jets are taking him right here. Perfect right there, perfect fit. And now if you are the Oakland Raiders, you're sitting perfect because you get a chance to pick either Henry Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb, and Jerry Judy in this draft because no wide receiver has yet been taken. And this is the area where wide receivers are going to be falling like crazy between the 10 and 20 mark of the draft. And I love Henry Ruggs in this situation. He's arguably the best wide receiver in this draft. I think quick, great hands, and you need speed if you're going to try to go up one-on-one. If you're in the same division as Patrick Mahomes at a wide receiver spot, Henry Ruggs is going there. Now, you would think that they do not need much on a defensive side, but they did get rid of one of their better defensive linemen, trading him to the Colts. So, Javon Kinlaw, or you can get an edge rusher that could possibly move him to an interior defensive lineman, as in Chaisson out of LSU. I do like K'Lavon a lot, but I think Javon, or if they even want to go for a corner in this situation, is CJ Henderson. They need to go defense. They don't need a wide receiver per se. Yes, I know Emmanuel Sanders isn't there, and you got to think you have a great tight end out of Kittle, so maybe you need to screen him a little bit. I would not be surprised if CeeDee Lamb falls to them or Jerry Judy, but I do like Judy in this situation. Go back-to-back Alabama wide receivers. Everybody's saying that CeeDee Lamb's better. It's just that offense is what made him better. If you give him a good offensive scheme, a quarterback such as Jimmy Garoppolo, who's always been, I guess, tailing down, everybody's like, oh no, he's not the greatest quarterback in the world, wouldn't be the situation. That's why CeeDee Lamb is going to fall into the hands of the one Tom Brady. A great quarterback's going to help CeeDee Lamb flourish in this league. There's a lot of wide receivers that are going to be chomping at the bit to want to catch some passes from Tom Brady. CeeDee Lamb is going to just fall right to him. Now we're 15. We're going over to the Broncos. The Broncos they need a wide receiver. They are in need for offensive talent. Defense is actually not that bad, so if they want to shore up the defense, maybe that's the smart decision. But you have a young quarterback, as in Drew Lock, make him find another young wide receiver, as in Justin Jefferson of LSU. Now this is going to be a perfect area for the Falcons to take CJ Henderson. They need a cornerback. They need a lot of things on that defensive side, and you need to stop the throwing game, because if you have Tom Brady in this area, you have a Teddy Bridgewater also, and you also have a Drew Brees. That's all three in your same division. You got to make sure you can shore up that passing defense on the outside. So CJ Henderson, you're going to have some big shoes to fill in order to stop those three quarterbacks in the NFC South. So CJ Henderson is a Falcon. Moving on to the Cowboys. Cowboys are an interesting team because they also get a corner, edge, safety, and I would want to go to the best available player if you are the Cowboys. So K'Lavon Chaisson, and I don't think I'm pronouncing his last name right, but I'm pretty sure I know how to pronounce his first name, K'Lavon. He's going to the Cowboys with the star on the logo. Now we're going to Miami. Miami has got their quarterback for the future and then some time. Now they have to protect him, and you have to protect him on this. So you have to, no matter what, drop all the way down, possibly get a Josh Jones later on in the draft, but you can also fury up a spot to get a a little bit of a reach because you need a little bit of everything. You need a running back. And DeAndre Swift sitting at 20. I don't think he is the best running back out of this one. I like Jonathan Taylor a lot, and I would not be surprised if Jonathan Taylor. Where is Jonathan Taylor at? I got to find him real quick. Taylor, Jonathan Taylor. I like him a lot. Jonathan Taylor, right here, you have to do a 1-2 punch. You got Jonathan Taylor there for the Dolphins. I like Jonathan Taylor a lot. I know some people are just not intrigued by him, or they just don't want anything to do with him, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. You have to, a running back, as in Jonathan Taylor, you have a great offensive line. That's the thing. You have to have offensive line to protect around him, so maybe it might have been a stretch to get him and maybe wait for later on in the first round at 26, but he would have been there anyways. Why don't you just get him now, kind of like how the Raiders did last year with getting Josh Jacobs with the second first-round draft pick that they had. Now we're going back to the Raiders again. They need a cornerback and an interior defensive line. I think cornerback's the most thing. You have corners in the situation such as Jeff Gladney, Kristian Fulton. I know there's more down here. We got Noah. I cannot pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try. But you also need some safeties. I know they had some safety helps. We had a safety as in, a corner. Eli Apple did not, the deal did not follow through. And I think Grant Delpit right here for the Raiders might be the best thing to go for them. But I think corner is their arguably the best need that they have. And I think Kristian Fulton of LSU, get him into a championship-minded player once again onto the Raiders. I bet he'll flourish because he knows in his mind that he just won the national title. I'm going to help the Raiders win the Super Bowl. That's what you have to think about when you draft these players. You got to think of how they did in college and bring them over. Hopefully they, make another splash that way. So Jacksonville need an interior defensive line because, Calais Cable isn't there. So Javon Kinlaw of South Carolina, maybe an easy replacement for him, so we're going to go there. Sitting at 21 with the Eagles. Eagles are just a crapshoot right now. Do not know exactly what they want to do, and I feel like a linebacker would be perfect for them right here. Maybe a Patrick Queen type of linebacker or a Kenneth Murray, but they need to go linebacker in the situation and or corner or safety. I think Jeff Gladney at TCU is the perfect fit for the Eagles. Now let's go to the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings need a corner, a wide receiver, edge as their first three. Their top three, we'll go from right there. It's kind of interesting. They need a quarterback right there. Maybe Jordan Love. I mean, you can probably get him in later on in the draft. Maybe at 25 you can get him there. But I think Zack Baun is a perfect fit for a team as the Minnesota Vikings. They might have stretched for it. They could have got him at 25, but it might work out. Now, the biggest thing the Patriots need is a quarterback. And Jordan Love is there. I'd be terrified to think that Jordan Love, everybody hasn't really talked about him. He's at Utah State. I'd be terrified if Bill Belichick can make him be the greatest. He has a big arm. He can also move with his feet. And Jordan Love, I wonder if they have any stats for him in college. Yeah, his best trait is physical. That's good. Decision making is his worst trait, which is not the greatest. There's no red flags, and his comparison is Colin Kaepernick. So I don't know if that's a decent thing. Colin Kaepernick was a great quarterback in the NFL until things went south for him. I think Jordan Love is the future for the Patriots. Jordan Love, Patriots. Saints, they need a backup quarterback. Taysom Hill, I don't know if he's there yet fully. He might have been already. But a linebacker is a complete need for them. And let's just go with Patrick Queen. I like Patrick Queen. He's starting to grow on me a lot more than Kenneth Murray, which is sad to say. But if Kenneth Murray can just stick around, maybe go to a Super Bowl caliber team that's in the later on in the rounds, it will work out in the long run if Kenneth Murray's there for, say, maybe a Packer or maybe a 49er or a Chief. Now the next pick for the Vikings, they have 2 first-rounders. They need a corner. I know that for a fact. And Noah Igbinoghene, I think that's how you pronounce it. Rhodes is gone. Bring in Noah from Auburn. Now the Dolphins, they need to protect that offensive fire force, if you want to call it that way. Their force that they're going to have since I already had them drafting Tua Tagovailoa. I had them drafting, of course, good old Jonathan Taylor. Now get that lineman that you need, an offensive tackle. He's not an interior offensive lineman, but he can easily make it that way. Josh Jones of Houston, welcome to the Dolphins. Now we're going to Seattle. They need some defensive help. AJ Epenesa and Yetur Gross-Matos. I like Gross-Matos a lot from Penn State, so I'm going to take him there for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the team that has been getting a little bit of everything this offseason and shoring up that defense tenfold, and that's the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to get a guy named Kenneth Murray of Oklahoma. And that's just going to be, if he ends up being a Ray Lewis type of football player in the NFL, I'm not going to say that's what he is or what he's going to be capable of. I wonder what they have him, what LAC has him at player comparison. Phone Anthony, let's see what Mario has him as. Rashaan Evans. Harris, what does he have him at? Doesn't have him at anything. And Krabs has him in comparison and as a potential Mike linebacker. Mike who? Okay, that did not help at all. I'm sorry that we had to go through that. Now, let's just go over to Tennessee Titans. AJ Epenesa, welcome to the Titans. Now for the Packers, they need a wide receiver. They need a tight end. They just need offense in general. And the best wide receiver sitting them right now is Denzel Mims. But I do not like Denzel Mims that much. And I think Laviska Shenault Jr., I like him. He's a late first rounder. He's going to be a guy that's going to, yes, he got hurt most of the time in his college career. But I think Laviska is the guy that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw to for at least a couple seasons. Number 2, the number 2 team in the NFL, the 49ers. They have their wide receiver already. They have their corner, so why don't maybe get a running back? Maybe get a traditional running back that they can use. But they have Mozart, they have Coleman that they've paid a lot to, and Breda's still back there, so I don't think they'll go for a running back. They already have their wide receiver, like I've already said. Let's go to an interior defensive lineman. And Neville Gallimore from Oklahoma might be the next best one. Or Marlon Davidson of Alabama. Now, I don't know much about Marlon, but I do know a little bit more about Neville. Let's go Neville. This is the biggest question of them all. What will the Chiefs do? You already know they need a running back. You already know their offensive line is shoddy, and they've lost a handful of players to free agency. But they also signed, I guess, you got Sammy Watkins on Friday. So maybe it's just time to get that running back. Damian Williams, I do not believe, is the running back for the future for them. Yes, I think he's like 26 or 27 years old, if he's even that right now. So I think if you are DeAndre Swift in this situation, you are thinking maybe I'm going there to the Chiefs. Or if there's any other running backs in this area. Maybe it's just Swift. Okay, so DeAndre Swift. I think Chiefs need to go running back in this draft, and that's what they should do. That's just in my opinion alone. So these are your results. I'm just going to scroll through those really slowly. But these are my results in my, I guess, let's call this my Mock 2.0. If you didn't watch Mock 1.0, this is a completely different draft. I think every single team except for a few have got the players I had in Mock Point 1, so things have changed a lot. And this is going to be a fun time. I cannot wait. April 23rd, I believe, is when the draft is. Stay tuned because we're going to keep on having I'll do this once a week. Once a week from here on out in April until the draft is. So I'm going to have 3 more of these. You'll have a mock draft from the one and only Kramer Sandstone Network. Have a good one. Stay safe. And don't forget to wash your hands.